Okay, now for review, this is a line, and remember, a line is just a set of points that extend in both directions. Lines have one dimension, which is the length. And these are the points on the line that are labeled, and we label points with capital letters. Now we say that these points that are on the same line, we say that they are collinear. Okay, and remember we talked about a ray can go in, it has an end point, and it can go in this direction or it can go in this direction. And we make sure that we label them with the end point, beginning with the end point. Okay, so now this line, we can say that, hang on a second, we could say that this ray here and this ray here are also collinear. They are on the same line, they are collinear. The points are collinear because they are on the same line, and the rays are collinear because they are on the same line. Okay. Now remember we talked about a point has no dimensions. It is just an undefined point in space. So now today we're going to talk about planes. Okay, and when you see a plane depicted in your book or on in our lessons, it's going to look like this. It's going to look like a parallelogram. And planes, remember, go in all directions. It goes in all directions this way, and into infinity this way, and infinitely this direction, and infinitely this direction. Okay, and when you think of planes, you can think of objects such as maybe a plane of glass, or in a window, or a tabletop, but you have to think of them going infinitely in all directions. So maybe a wall or the floor would also be examples of planes. And planes don't have to just go horizontally. They can be in any direction. They can go straight up and down, or they can be diagonal a little bit. So now planes can also intersect with each other. And when a plane intersects with another plane, it looks like this. You notice that the intersection of this plane is a line. If you saw just the place where these two planes intersect, it's just simply a line. Okay, now when there are two lines that intersect, they will lie in exactly one plane. So think about this line and this line. Now remember, these lines go infinitely in this direction, infinitely in this direction, infinitely in that direction. These two lines that intersect or lie in the same plane. So they are called coplanar. Now, if we imagine these lines lying in this plane, they intersect here, they are coplanar on this plane. Okay, so remember the terms coplanar and collinear. Okay, now when we're talking about planes, planes are two-dimensional. They have length and they have width. All right, and what is three-dimensional? Well, three-dimensional thing is in space. An object that is three-dimensional can be a cube or a sphere or a cone or anything like that, but mostly we'll be dealing with things that are two-dimensional, either lines or planes or points. Okay, now let me get rid of all this stuff. Okay, now we're going to be talking about other symbols. This symbol here means union. Okay, this symbol here, the upside down union symbol, means intersection. Okay, and then this symbol here means subset. Okay, now when we talk about these symbols, we're talking about sets. Okay, and a set is going to be denoted by these little curly braces right here. Okay, and sets are just objects that are grouped together. Okay, now we can talk about, this is a set here. The set is named O, and the objects in this set are 3, 5, 7, 9, and notice the dot, dot, dot. That means that this set goes on infinitely. If you'll notice, these numbers are all odd numbers, so it would go 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, and just keep going on infinitely. Okay, so that's an infinite set. Now, the other kind of set is a finite set, which has, it doesn't have the dots, so it means that these objects that are in this, within these curly brackets right here, those are all of the objects that are in that set. Okay, now we can talk about, when we're talking geometrical terms like lines and points and rays and things like that, we also talk about these sets, things that intersect and things that are union. Okay, so take a look at this diagram right here. Okay, and let me move this stuff out of the way. Okay, now remember, this is union, this is intersection, and this is subset. Union means both sets combined, or all sets combined, everything that is in every set. So if we were talking about these sets again, the union of these sets would be JRCOI 3, 5, 7, 9, and then that would go on infinitely. Okay, so but we can talk, so that would be the union. The union is the two sets put together. Intersection means what the sets have in common. Okay, and a subset is just a part of a set. Okay, so now let's look at this diagram and think about it in terms of sets. Okay, now line segment XY, the union of line segment XY and XZ. So, okay, here is XY, the line segment XY, and the line segment XZ. Okay, so the union of that would be still the line segment XZ, because that is what it is put together. Okay, now let me grab this one. The intersection of line segment XY and TY, that's this right here. Now the intersection of that would just be point Y. Okay, now let's grab another one. Okay, what would be the union of ray TW, okay, let me grab that, TW This is the ray, so it goes all the way infinitely in that direction. Okay, and ray TY. That is this ray right here. Okay, so what is the union of that? The union of that, since this is the end point here for this ray, and this is the end point here for this ray, this whole thing would just be a line. You could call this line VY, you could call it line VT, you could call it line YT or YW, or any points that are on this line, you can call it that line. Okay, now what is the union of YT, ray YT, so that's this right here, oops, ray YT, and ray TW. Okay, now that is going to intersect a little bit. Ray YT, oops, wrong one. Ray YT, that's this, goes all the way, and ray TW. That's this, goes all this way. So that is still ray YW, you could call it YW, you could call it YT, but you have to start with Y because that's the end point. Okay, let's do one more. Okay, this is the intersection of YW, that's YW, and TV. Grab a different color. This is getting a little bit messy, but okay. YW, that's this. Oops. Do that again. YW and TV. That's going this way. So now this is the intersection. So that means just what they have in common. So that would be this area right here. It would be line segment TY, or you could say YT. Okay, that's all for today.